tornadoes. They kill people, destroy property, and terrify communities. But just how much do we know about them? Hello, I'm Kristen Dodd, and welcome to the Weather Channel's special presentation of Tornado. On average, over 50 people are killed each year by tornadoes, and damage runs into the billions of dollars. They also leave deep emotional scars. Just ask anyone who's been lucky enough to survive one. Yet we still have so much to learn about these fearsome storms. When we come back, some tornado myths you might believe are true. But first, we want to keep you informed on what's happening with today's weather, so let's go to the studio for an update.
All right, Kristen, thanks a lot. It may not be tornadic, but storms are rumbling on the leading edge of the cloud deck. That is a very potent cold front behind it. Temperatures falling through the 40s and 50s as far south as the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle. On that front, there's your action. Low pressure rippling along, putting down heavy rain. Little Rock's had an inch of rain in the last couple of hours. Fort Smith, Arkansas, better than 3 inches of rain. The initial band of rain tending to die out in the Tennessee Valley, but yet another flank coming in now, so watch out west of Nashville to Memphis along I-40. A couple of these storms packing a pretty good wallop, so watch out in suburban Dixon, Tennessee, and also approaching the area near Columbia south of Nashville on I-65. Finally, rain at Dallas. Some of the area, a lot of rain too. Denton, Texas, well over an inch of rain overnight. DFW Airport officially breaking the string. 89 consecutive days you went without rain. But now, thankfully, that is behind us. Plenty of rain of late in the Northeast. That's not changing at all. More rain coming on by today north of Boston, up there in the Merrimack Valley. Also some showers in the New York City area. Maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder here. The front blows on south. Watch out in Virginia. Could be some storms late today in Washington, D.C. The Midwest, some rain, light rain, kind of a pesky, chilly day for rainfall in the Motor City. I know the Bears are playing today. Probably a few sprinkles, otherwise a very chilly pattern. Barely 50, 51 today at Soldier Field. To the west we go. Mile High Stadium can outdo that one easily. It is a mere 30. Denver's had snow overnight. Locally around 2 to 3 inches in the metro area and upwards of a half a foot or so in the higher foothills west of town. Thankfully, the radar shows the action winding down. By the way, the rain-snow line all the way out in western Kansas. Goodland had snow. Even North Platte, Nebraska picking up a couple of inches of snow. From here on out, courtesy of a fairly high September sun angle, we'll probably not see much more than maybe some grassy areas or car tops getting additional snow. Western states pretty quiet today, although a chilly night ahead. May see record lows. Denver had a record of 29 last night. With a little snow on the ground, maybe colder than that tonight. And once again, summer hangs on in Florida. Now back to the tornado special.
Tornadoes are an awesome power. Over the years, they have been the center of many myths. But some of these myths could cost you your life. Here's Bob Stokes with the myths and the facts about tornadoes.
Tornadoes can happen very quickly. In fact, a tornado can form as little as a minute, and that does not give you much time to... Are you sure? Or do you just remember something about the windows? The truth is, there are a lot of myths about tornadoes, and a lot of myths about what you should do if you are suddenly caught in one's path. Opening windows and going to the southwest corner of your home are two myths that can really put you and your family in harm's way when a tornado is approaching your home. The truth is, opening up windows is a waste of precious time, and getting into the southwest corner is dangerous.
In the bathroom.
Is this the same place right here? So that's my living room. Almost every window in the house is breaking, Dad.
At one time, opening a window was an advocated safety rule. The idea was that because there's low pressure at the center of a tornado, as it drifted over a house, the air trapped inside the house would explode and cause the house to fly apart. We now know that that's not true. Houses are not airtight. They have drafts. Houses don't explode. It's the force of the wind that destroys them. Another myth is that the southwest corner of a house is a safe place to be during a tornado. The idea was that the debris would fly off toward the northeast, and so you were safe in the southwest corner. The problem is that if you're in the southwest corner, you may be blown along with the rest of the house. In addition, the winds can come at the house from any direction. So the best safety rule is to get to the lowest, most interior portion of the house. Put as many walls between you and the tornado winds outside as you can.
So if your area is suddenly under a tornado warning, forget the windows and seek shelter in the basement or an interior room immediately. Every time there is a tornado, you see the video and hear the stories about people who were killed or seriously injured in their mobile home. It might seem like tornadoes head straight for mobile home parks. The truth is, mobile homes don't attract tornadoes, but it's certainly easier for a tornado to damage or destroy a mobile home than a well-built house.
If a mobile home isn't tied down, even wind speeds of 60 to 80 miles per hour can cause it to start turning over and rolling. If it is tied down, winds of 100 miles per hour or so can cause it to begin to fly apart. So you cannot count on any measure of safety in a mobile home, even in weak tornadoes.
If you live in a mobile home, you need to listen to the forecast and watches and take action earlier. In mobile homes, especially during tornado watches, you need to consider how much time it takes you to get to a strong, safe structure. If it takes you 10 minutes, then move to a place of safety 10 minutes or 20 minutes before the storms move in. Don't go to bed at night and be awakened by the thunder or the roaring sound of a tornado approach.
Shelley, it is a half a mile west of Price Road at this time. Half a mile west Price Road, directly behind Craw Products.
So if you live in a mobile home, plan ahead, know where you will go, and always leave your home prior to severe weather.
Underneath the girders. Keep rolling, Ted. It's coming at us. Keep rolling.
Those people were lucky. This tornado was not nearly as powerful as the one that hit Oklahoma City on May 3rd, 1999. It did not directly hit the overpass, and it didn't carry the kind of debris that can kill like shrapnel. Behind me is one of the two overpasses that took a direct hit from the F5 tornado that struck here in Oklahoma City on May 3rd, 1999. 3 people lost their lives because they sought shelter under the overpasses. 2 were crushed by the debris, and 1 was swept away by the tornado's violent winds. Because vehicles can become missiles during a tornado, people do need to get out of their cars, but a bridge or overpass is no protection. The truth is, seeking shelter from a tornado by stopping under a bridge is a very dangerous idea. Going up under an overpass is dangerous because it places you up higher in the wind. The higher you are above ground level, the stronger the winds are, and the more you are exposed to flying debris. Also, the tunneling effect on wind going through the overpass makes it much more forceful and dangerous.
If caught outdoors in a tornado, it's always best to be as low down as possible. The roughness of the surface decreases the wind speeds, and so winds decrease very rapidly as you get toward the ground. Getting in a ditch is even better because it gets you down below a lot of that tons of flying debris that can be present in a tornado. So if you are on the open road with no sturdy shelters nearby, get out of your car and lie flat in a ditch or low-lying area, as far away as possible from the road and flying debris. When it comes to tornadoes and your safety, there are a lot of myths. But the truth is, tornadoes can kill and destroy property and lives.
Another myth? Tornadoes hit only rural areas. But this is not true. Just ask the residents of these cities. Miami had a close encounter on May 12, 1997. Nashville was struck on April 16, 1998, and Salt Lake City was hit by an F2 on August 11, 1999. And of course, as Bob mentioned, parts of Oklahoma City were devastated on May 3, 1999. One of the hardest things weather forecasters do is predicting when and where a tornado will appear. When we return, a look at how we are now using modern technology to give you and your family a few more precious minutes of warning.
Let's go!
TiVo lets you create your own TV network so you can watch what you want when you want to. Huh. Educational programming for your kids.
That's a curveball. Laces out on a field goal. 7-10 split. Slamma jamma. Icing. The law. Jenny, triple axel. Bobby, stop doing that, Jenny. Bobby, please! Bobby!
Operator, I'd like to make a collect call, please. First name Bob. Last name is We Oughta Baby Eats a Boy.
Hello?
Collect call for Mr. Bob. We Oughta Baby Eats a Boy.
Sorry, wrong number.
Who's that, dear?
Bob, they had a baby. It's a boy.
Oh.
Don't cheat the phone company. Save money the legal way. Call Geico. A 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Weissmuller, Biondi, Spitz, Scholler, Crab. Experience a virtual swim race that spans the century. Only at Cadillac.com.
Minutes mean lives when we're forecasting tornadoes, and yet nothing is harder than predicting when and where a tornado will appear. One way science is helping is in Oklahoma, in the heart of Tornado Alley. It's an early warning system called Mesonet. Here, measuring devices in all the state's counties register the latest weather conditions and send them to a central location at the University of Oklahoma. The information is processed and then sent over the internet to local emergency managers who use it to give the people more lead time. This system proved to be crucial on May 3rd, 1999. As Bob Stokes shows us, modern technology is being used in many ways to help us survive these awesome storms.
It was March 25th, 1948. The squall line was intensifying and headed straight toward Tinker Air Force Base. Two weather station forecasters realized conditions were very similar to a tornado that struck the base without warning just 5 days earlier, injuring personnel and causing millions in damage.
Are you going to issue a tornado forecast, Captain? General, no one's ever issued an operational tornado forecast, sir. You're about to set a precedent.
3 hours after Major E.J. Fawbush and Captain Robert C. Miller issued that first tornado forecast and General Borum implemented the first tornado disaster plan, a tornado struck here at Tinker Air Force Base, taking nearly the same path as the one earlier that week. But this time, the planes were in hangars and personnel were out of the tower. Those men took a career risk. They made a prediction about a tornado. They told people to take shelter. Call it beginner's luck, but they proved that tornadoes could be anticipated and that warning the public could save lives and property.
Now, how far north would that be? I wonder if...
Today's tornado forecast begins not at Tinker, but at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, which issues all severe thunderstorm watches and tornado watches for the 48 contiguous states. Meteorologist Dan McCarthy has served in every capacity during his 15 years at the SPC.
The Storm Prediction Center is the one national center that concentrates on the forecasting of severe storms. Severe storms are defined as those that can produce hail 3/4 of an inch in diameter or larger, winds greater than 58 miles per hour, and or tornadoes.
20 meteorologists work around the clock monitoring atmospheric conditions that can produce severe thunderstorms and tornadoes.
Once we have honed in that the conditions are favorable, that the storms can develop and could produce tornadoes, we will then issue a watch, or a tornado watch or severe thunderstorm watch for that area for the next 6 hours. And that's the time when the public should be alerted to when the weather can change rapidly.
Issued by the SPC, a tornado watch defines an area shaped like a parallelogram and usually about 25,000 square miles in size, where conditions are favorable for the formation of tornadoes. A tornado warning, however, is issued by local National Weather Service offices, and only after a tornado has been spotted on the ground, or Doppler radar has indicated a thunderstorm circulation that can spawn a tornado. At 121 National Weather Service offices across the country, forecasters monitor weather conditions for the local area and work closely with city, county, and emergency officials to alert the public about possible severe weather. Bob Gorey is at the National Weather Service's Tallahassee office, which covers parts of North Florida, South Georgia, and South Alabama.
Well, what we've done with the modernization and restructuring of the Weather Service was put the forecast offices more out in the field. Well, by putting the forecast office closer to the people, closer to the action, we're able to monitor the weather closer and communicate weather threats to our public much more rapidly.
High tide at 11:20 a.m.
By far, the most important aspect of the warning is the communication of the warning. When we issue a warning, it's broadcast on NOAA Weather Radio immediately. It also goes out to the broadcast media.
At the Weather Channel, we act in partnership with the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service. So as soon as those watches and warnings are issued, we make sure that they get out to our viewers.
Tornado watch is being added. You can see now.
Even with all of today's technology, ordinary citizens play a key role in tornado warning. There's a network of citizen volunteers who spot storms and relay information to the National Weather Service. This grassroots effort is known as Skywarn.
KC4TOC, KC4WCG.
This is KC4TOC. Go ahead.
Kent Hutchinson, an amateur radio enthusiast, is a member of Skywarn. He coordinates communication between storm spotters, radio operators, and the local National Weather Service office of Tallahassee.
The volunteers who work with Skywarn come from all walks of life. We have college students, high school students, people who are retired, people who have professional jobs. Some of our best spotters are some of the people who work in the downtown area in some of the taller buildings who have a good view of the skyline. The Skywarn spotter is trained to go out and look and determine, indeed, is there a tornado on ground or not, and they report that back.
We train a spotter to understand how a thunderstorm develops and what characteristics and ingredients go into making a storm severe.
Well, as the general predicted, Major Fawbush and Captain Miller set a precedent. But looking at the World War II era radar, none of them could have imagined the forecasting and warning technology that would develop over the next 50 years, nor the system that would be in place to alert the public. But there is still work to do. Tornadoes can form in seconds, and their ability to do damage is unfathomable. We cannot be certain a tornado will strike until it does. And we cannot be certain a tornado has touched down until somebody sees it.
For more details on tornadoes, go to the news center at weather.com. When we return, we'll show you who in the U.S. is more at risk from tornadoes than anyone else.
Can your business afford downtime due to bad power? Can your enterprise avoid power disruptions? Who ensures availability for more networks worldwide? APC. Power management solutions wherever data is created, transmitted, or stored. For a free downtime analysis, go to iwantapc.com.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. We're rolling back prices all over the place. So put on a happy face.
At Walmart, we're always rolling back prices because we know how much you like to save. Walmart, always low prices, always.
Now there's more reasons than ever to join AOL.
If I knew it was this easy, I would have started a long time ago.
There's an 800 number that you can call 24 hours a day.
On AOL, your privacy and security are always protected. There's no better time to join. America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1.
Tired of carrying all that heavy water around every time you vacuum the wet basement? Get the new ShopVac QPV, the quiet vacuum that sucks water from one place and pumps it to another. Because you've got better things to do than lug water around. ShopVac, the only thing more powerful is our name.
Hi, I'm Alan Smith. In my reports, I'll bring you simple tips you can use in your garden every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right here on the Weather Channel.
Property owners, if weeds and brush are taking over your land, at last there is a solution. The amazing DR Field and Brush Mower can reclaim overgrown parts of your property with less work than you ever dreamed possible. Now, if you've ever tried to clear an overgrown field or ditch with a handheld brush cutter or a shaky sickle bar mower, you know they're exhausting to use. Take hold of a DR Field and Brush Mower, though, and you've got a whole different story. The DR knocks over brush and saplings up to 1 inch thick and chops most everything it cuts, so there's no tangle of vegetation to trip over or to pick up. So why let weeds and brush take over? Call now for complete details about the amazing new DR Field and Brush Mower. Call toll-free 1-800-965-4477 for your big free package all about the amazing DR all-terrain field and brush mower, plus special savings now in effect. That's 1-800-965-4477 for free DR details.
I'm Kristen Dodd. Welcome back to the Weather Channel's special presentation of Tornado. Did you know that these phenomena can occur at any time and in any state in the U.S.? As Bob Stokes reports, researchers have recently stepped up their efforts to understand more about the power and fury of these storms.
Oklahoma City, May 3rd, 1999.
It was one of the most ferocious tornadoes ever recorded. Scientists at the University of Oklahoma, chasing the twister in a truck mounted with Doppler radar, registered an unconfirmed preliminary reading that tops any other measurement ever taken. Now, most of us have never experienced a tornado, let alone an F5. We have no idea what a 300-mile-per-hour wind is like. No point of reference, nothing with which to compare. But there is plenty of evidence. Tornadoes are some of nature's most violent storms.
When tornado winds ripped through Karen Dozier's neighborhood on May 3rd, they were more violent than anything the Oklahoma native had ever imagined.
It came from this way here and moved out towards that way. I was in a bedroom closet about right there. I could hear the boards coming off of the roof. I heard everything crashing, everything flying around. You could hear it all. And then at one point, a big rush of cool air came in from under me, and I knew at that time it had picked the house up off the foundation. I just prayed. The winds caught me and sucked me out from the place where I was. I said to myself at that time, this is the day I'm going to die. There wasn't anything moving and there wasn't anything left. There were no houses on either side of me, in front of me, and back of me. There wasn't anything.
About 20 of the more than 1,000 tornadoes that hit the United States each year have wind velocities that are more than 200 miles per hour.
Tornadoes are able to tap into a portion of the explosive energy of their parent thunderstorm and use that to develop an intense rotation. It's a fact that the most violent tornadoes contain the fastest winds that occur on the face of the earth.
There went the barn, look at that.
Tornado winds that are this powerful can demolish just about anything in their path.
The Great Plains building is twisted.
A 1970 Lubbock, Texas tornado twisted a skyscraper on its foundation.
We have this whirling wind
But sometimes what we don't consider is what's inside that vortex, debris. During the Pampa, Texas tornado of June 8, 1995, we have footage which captured 6 different vehicles rotating around the parent vortex and then being jettisoned out the side.
Debris that is inside the tornado's vortex becomes missiles, which can be deadly.
Oh my God, it's all the way through it.
Austin pathologist Elizabeth Peacock autopsied the 28 victims of the Gerald, Texas tornado.
Well, one thing that was most striking was the fact that for the people that were actually caught up in the vortex, there was almost no skin surface that wasn't terribly abraded. There were numerous small lacerations in which we found embedded vegetation or rocks or fragments of wood. Sometimes it was just below the surface and protruding. Sometimes the rocks may have been almost a finger's length down in the subcutaneous tissue. After we had gotten the victims identified, I traveled the 40 miles up north of here and went and looked at the devastation. The foundations of these households had been stripped of their plumbing fixtures and of the carpeting and of the tiles and of everything. It was like an empty foundation. There were no bushes in the yard. There was no grass left in the yard. There was the asphalt was removed from the roadway. All that was left was the cement slab.
Many people will go through their entire lives, rarely if ever, encountering a wind speed much above 70 or 80 miles per hour, which is a pretty strong wind. I'm a meteorologist. I've experienced that kind of a wind several times, yet it's still very difficult for me to even begin to comprehend what a 200-mile-per-hour, much less 300-mile-per-hour wind is like.
The tri-state tornado, Wheatland, Pennsylvania, Andover, Kansas, Gerald, Texas, Oklahoma City.
These are all places where people have witnessed the tornadic fury of winds over 200 miles per hour. It's hard to comprehend the violence of a tornado like this. What we must remember is that it strikes suddenly, it kills and destroys easily, and it can happen anywhere at any time.
On average, there are over 1,000 tornadoes reported in the U.S. every year. It appears there are more now than ever before. But remember, there are more people out there reporting them, and more people living in what used to be isolated areas. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be very, very close to a powerful tornado? When we return, we'll take you so close, you almost think you are there.
Howie, what's the sound like? Bzz, bzz,
busy signal.
bzz, bzz,
An incredibly annoying busy signal.
kind of like you get with some internet connection.
Yeah, how do I make it stop?
Ah, funny you should ask. Just go to Radio Shack.
Busy signal when you try to get on the internet? Radio Shack has fast, reliable MSN internet access from Microsoft for easy emails, shopping, news, stocks, and more. Radio Shack.
The automotive world is hyped for the V6 Grand Vitara from Suzuki. Open Road says it's eye-popping. Automobile Magazine raves there's more sport in this sport utility. And Road and Track says it's powerful enough to kick sand in the face of every other four-door in its class. The Suzuki V6 Grand Vitara. Come in and see why Motor Trend says it must be on your shopping list. Get 0.9% APR financing on all V6 Grand Vitaras with approved credit at your local Suzuki dealer.
Suzuki, maker of the V6 Grand Vitara, official automobile of the Heisman Trophy Award.
Introducing the Wind Tunnel Bagless by Hoover. It picks up more dirt than any other upright. Wind tunnel technology for clean, bagless for convenience. It's also quite powerful. Perhaps the world's best vacuum.
Mommy, can you refill that Glade plug-in, please?
For lasting freshness, don't forget to refill your Glade plug-ins.
Plug it in, plug it in.
Right now, It's your local forecast on the Weather Channel. Currently in your area, 79 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. The forecast for your area. Expect fair skies Tuesday through Thursday with temperatures in the 70s on Tuesday.
To the Weather Channel's special presentation of Tornado. Coming up, we'll take you up close and personal with a large tornado. But first, we go to the studio for the latest weather information.
And thanks again, Kristen. It's not a tornado, but a hurricane. Hurricane Isaac packing a pretty good wallop. Still on that threshold of being a major hurricane. Top winds down a bit now to 110 miles per hour, but it looks like it's coming back yet again. As of 11 a.m. AST, it was 15.7 north, 37.4 west. A good deal away from any land areas, about 1,580 miles to the east of the Leeward Islands. But it is a buzzsaw out there in the Atlantic, that's for sure. The islands, by the way, just showing up here. These are the Leewards, these are the Windward Islands. Indications are, though, it'll track a little bit north of due west and likely veer away from the islands 3 or 4 days down the road. So we'll watch it carefully. Not too terribly concerned about it now. Good news in North Carolina, you're getting a chance to dry out after several days of gully washers. We are getting chances to dry out temporarily, though. Already there's a potent front on the move. Leading edge of the front here, see a little shadowing going on. There's some tall tops, and with that, some very heavy rainfall. Overnight rain better than 3 1/4 inches in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Now some vicious little storms going west of Nashville, right over Dixon, Tennessee, and also south on 65 around Columbia and Lawrenceburg. Be on your guard. Could be some hail here. Very wet. Jackson right into Memphis, carries down into Arkansas and around Dallas, and we finally busted that record in Dallas, finally getting measurable rain about 1/3 of an inch at the DFW airport. More big storms up in Arkansas. Watch out, Arkadelphia, or maybe a little south of Arkadelphia, crossing I-30. Nothing too severe in the northeast, but a pesky wet day in Boston. Light rain showers coming on by. The front, by the way, is still kind of hanging back, but eventually it crashes on down. As it does, it may spawn a couple of storms, so watch out in Washington, and more likely down into the warmer air, Richmond and the Tidewater later on today. The Midwest, pretty quiet out there, kind of chilly though, even without the rain falling. Still a lot of cloud cover. Temperatures barely 50 in Chicago, 52 now. 47 after a frosty morning in Minneapolis. To the west we go. It wasn't frost, but snow. 27 Lander, 30 in Denver. Snow fell locally as much as 10 inches in suburban Conifer outside of Denver. 4 inches in Castle Rock. In the Denver city limits, about 1 to 2 inches. Now more on the tornado.
We have already seen some of the myths associated with tornadoes and also how they are forecast. But now we look at how tornadoes have affected people's lives. Video cameras have captured some truly impressive images of tornadoes. Storm chaser Jeff Petrosky shot these images in Nebraska in the spring of 2000. Luckily, this tornado occurred in a rural area and caused minor damage. As Kim Perez tells us, more and more, the power and fury of tornadoes are now being captured on videotape.
What is a tornado? Most of us have no idea except for what we see in the movies. And Hollywood has done its share to shape our perceptions about what a tornado is, how it develops, and what it can do. In the movies, a tornado might pick up your house and set it down on top of a wicked witch in the land of Oz. Or it might suck you right out of your underground storm shelter and into its vortex, never to be seen again. Reality is usually somewhere in between, sometimes worse, and always very unpredictable.
A tornado is a rapidly rotating column of air which has to be in contact with the Earth's surface and is generally associated with a thunderstorm cloud. For a tornado to develop, the elements or conditions have to be just right. You need rising air and rotation. This occurs when warm, moist air, moving in one direction, meets a colder body of air at a higher altitude, moving in a different direction. The warm air rises like a hot air balloon and spins because the two bodies of air are moving in different directions. It forms a thundercloud that has a slow rotation. Coming down from the thundercloud is a rainy downdraft that is rotating in the same direction. When the rotating downdraft meets the rotating rising column of warmer air, the spin of the whole system intensifies. The result of this increasing energy is a tornado.
Even an ordinary thunderstorm every minute releases the energy equivalent of a 120 kiloton atomic bomb, and severe thunderstorms are even more powerful.
Theoretically, any thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado, but the most destructive and deadly tornadoes develop from a supercell thunderstorm. This is a thunderstorm with a strong rotation called a mesocyclone.
Now, not every tornado forms from a supercell. So we have a range of different types of environments that can actually produce tornado-like vortices.
Gustnadoes can form on the outflow or leading edge of strong thunderstorm downdrafts. Some tornadoes have several suction vortices inside. These are spinning columns of air that are rotating inside the parent tornado. If you are in the path of a suction vortex, the wind speed you feel can be 50 to 100 miles per hour faster.
It's still a mystery exactly how a tornado forms. What makes one supercell produce a tornado and another not? We do not completely understand how part of a thunderstorm's energy sometimes gets focused into something as small as a tornado.
But I was really surprised that that right mover didn't go on to produce major tornadoes. But if you were watching the radar, you could see that...
Howie Bluestein is a meteorology professor at the University of Oklahoma who has spent much of his life researching the mysteries of a tornado.
Where the supercell storms would be and which ones would become tornadic. With a tornado, you have to be there to watch it form and gather your data, and that's very, very difficult. By using mobile Doppler radars and airborne Doppler radars, we've been able to keep up with the storms themselves and watch them for a long enough period of time to see whether or not a tornado actually does or does not develop. We've also discovered that tornadoes develop in time scales of a minute or even less, so we need to scan the storm extremely rapidly. We've also found that what happens near the ground may be very important in producing tornadoes.
A tornado can be contorted and rope-like or in the shape of a fat cone. Its color depends on your viewing angle and what the tornado has sucked up into its vortex. The Fujita scale assigns a number and wind speed according to the damage the tornado causes. F0 is light, F1 moderate, F2 considerable, F3 severe, F4 devastating, and F5 is incredible.
More than 1,000 tornadoes strike the United States each year. Of those, most are F0 or F1 on the Fujita scale and pose relatively little threat to human life. About 20 of those tornadoes, however, are of the violent F4 and F5 category, and though they're few in number, they account for more than 70% of the fatalities and a disproportionate amount of the dollar losses.
Tornadoes occur more frequently in the United States than in any other country. And a good number of these occur out here, in an area known as Tornado Alley.
Besides the Tornado Alley, there are several other areas that are tornado-prone. The Dixie Alley, the Ohio River Alley, and the Northeastern Alley. And although tornadoes typically occur during the spring and summer months, they can happen anywhere, anytime the conditions are right.
A good sailor always knows how to read the skies. It makes sense. His ship is vulnerable to storms at sea. It's a good idea on land, too. No matter where we are, reading the skies, knowing the signs of a tornado, it can keep us alert. Tornadoes are very real. They can be deadly. They are not the movies.
Some people try to get close to tornadoes for scientific research. Here's Mike Seidel with the amazing story of one group who, instead of driving away from the storm, drive toward it.
By early afternoon, 2 Doppler on Wheels research trucks were in southwest Oklahoma, close to the town of Chickasha.
Okay, we just turned north on 81. There's the storm. The tornado is probably 18 kilometers to our north.
They followed this supercell as it tracked to the north and west. During the chase, the storm turned deadly.
Get away from us. These things are our radar indicates F3 at least. We got
incoming debris. Incoming debris flying all over.
Debris. Slow down, slow down.
Okay, we're really close.
I'd say. Okay. Yeah, why don't we stop here? We're ready to back up and get out the hell out of the way if we have to. Damn, that's a monster. Just took me through the metro area. Yeah, I know.
We were chasing the tornadoes back up towards Oklahoma City and towards the Norman area. And of course, that's where I live. That's where my family and small baby are. And so that was a very different feeling. I was trying to raise my wife on the cell phone and warn her of the situation and could not get through. So it was personally very harrowing for me to be intercepting a storm, but at the same time not know and not be able to give advice to my family of how to seek shelter.
Okay.
It's not going to cross the road, is it? It's going to. I don't think so.
You sure?
Just after 7, the Doppler on Wheels trucks were extremely close to the tornado.
Got debris falling.
Okay, slow down, slow down.
This is where we make it a flat. Yeah, boy, that thing's still rotating big time.
Yeah, insulation.
Looks like it may be over the road. Look at the tornado.
Man, now it's visible. 1.4 kilometers ahead of us. Be careful here. If you feel like it's coming towards us or doing anything stupid, stop and do a U-turn.
And we followed it up to 37, and that was at the point where it went from being fun and exciting to being sobering, realizing that people were going to die, people's homes were going to be destroyed. So that was when the whole kind of the theme of the chase changed.
The tornado was just minutes in front of them.
We have power lines kind of hanging.
We're in the damage path right now.
Look at the houses.
Yeah,
all the roofs are stripped.
It was heading towards neighborhoods we knew, we drove through. We knew people who lived in those neighborhoods. And as parts of those neighborhoods rained down on us, it was, I think, quite disturbing for some of us.
The chase took them through more, then north and east of Oklahoma City. By 8, they were close to I-40 as the 90-minute destructive tornado dissipated.
That's all that's left of it.
An incredible adventure in the name of research. When we return, the story of one small community that still bears the scars of their encounter with a very destructive tornado.
There are deals on internet service and on long distance, but only one great deal on both. Now you can get 1,000 minutes of nighttime state-to-state long distance and unlimited internet access for just $30 a month. One service, one bill, one low price. Because some things were just meant to be together. Hook up with Sprint and Earthlink at 1-800-PIN-DROP.
Is your pantry a cluttered mess? Wish there was an easier way. Now there is. The new Ziploc Easy Fill Bag. The bag that stands up, stays open, and closes Ziploc tight. The new Ziploc Easy Fill Bag in 3 easy-to-fill sizes. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Sparky?
We at GMC are proud to sponsor the U.S. Olympic athletes who, like us, have worked to achieve higher standards. And now, during our GMC U.S. Olympic Countdown, get up to $2,000 cash back on select 2000 Sierras, $2,000 back on Sonomas, and up to $2,500 back on select Jimmys. Great cash back offers on trucks built with the dedication that make them professional grade. Because when you're committed to what you do, it shows in the results. Visit your local GMC dealer for the GMC U.S. Olympic Countdown.
It is so hectic going shopping with 4 kids, and 3 of them are triplets. There is no way I would have time to go from store to store to store to get everything that I need. I love Walmart Supercenter. Everything you buy here is so fresh. It's important to me because I'm feeding my family. We save a lot of money buying our groceries here. Living on a budget with 4 kids, this is the place to go. Well, I don't know what I would do without it. The clothes, the shoes, the toys, the groceries. You know, it's a one-stop shop. I'm going to get everything I need and save a ton of money. Walmart Supercenter saves my life.
This week on Atmospheres, find out how the drought nearly dried up one town. And Mother Nature has a new starring role in the movies. Don't miss Atmospheres, hosted by meteorologists Jim Cantori and Mish Michaels, Wednesdays at 8 on the Weather Channel.
Charles Dickens couldn't write a story about this game. Tell me about it. What's this? It's my Ameritrade account. You follow the market? Yeah, I do the research right here. Oh, kidding. Yeah, like I bought this 6 months ago. Said I'd sell if it hit 65. And today it did. How'd you know? I got email alert. I tell Ameritrade what I want to hear about, and then they tell me when it happens. Really? Oh, yeah. Great. I could use that. Yeah. Do the research, get the email, place the trade, and check this. The whole thing cost me a grand total commission of $8. I hate that chicken.
Open a cash account with $500 and get 25 internet equity trades commission-free in the first month. Call 1-800-AMERITRADE. That's how you get somewhere on Wall Street.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel. Currently in your area, 79 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Expect fair skies Tuesday through Thursday with temperatures in the 70s on Tuesday.
Welcome back. Remember to visit the news center at weather.com to learn more about tornadoes. One thing that you will see is that tornadoes come in all shapes and sizes, but something they have in common is they can cause death and devastation to a community. Many of those affected never forget the day the storm hit. Kim Perez talked to the survivors of one killer tornado.
And I remember poking fun at the hail because it was about the size of a marble, and I'd laugh and say, that isn't hail, I've seen bigger than that. And the hail kept getting bigger.
It's a tornado. And there was a big coil standing right there beside me, so I just dove inside the eye of that coil and hung on for dear life.
I opened the cellar door, and it just seemed like the pressure just slammed it right back shut. So I ran in the dining room, flipped a chair over me, and then it hit.
I think that I'm dead. I thought that the only way that I still realized that I was living was the guard screamed.
This is Wheatland, a small town in eastern Pennsylvania. This was once Wheatland's oldest neighborhood, a neighborhood of streets with names like Main and Church and Rosedale, where people live in 100-year-old homes, graced by huge oaks, until May 31st, 1985, when an F5 tornado barreled its way through with an unimaginable fury. Within minutes, homes were wiped off their foundations. Family businesses were completely destroyed. And friends were pulling dead and injured friends from the rubble and the debris that was once a community.
I was walking from my grandmother's house down the hill toward Broadway Street, and I could see injured people walking toward me like zombies. And it was like living a nightmare. And we divided into groups and just started searching the debris for people. And it was hard to get your bearings. You couldn't see the roads. You couldn't recognize any of the houses. Pipelines were broken, and you could smell gas.
They'd come, they'd go down, they'd look, they'd cry, and there was very few people that could do anything about anything. It was almost like 10, 15 minutes, and their whole world changed.
Where tornadoes strike, homes are destroyed, landscapes change, people suffer, and communities are never the same.
Well, we did like Wheatland. I like the downtown Wheatland instead of uptown, but that's all right. There ain't no downtown no more.
The real town was formed below Broadway, and it filled up with workers, and the workers worked in the mills. And there was 2 or 3 stores. We had the railroad had a big roundhouse, and we played ball every day, and we'd just go down to the river and go swimming. It was about 10 years before that tornado. They had decided that the town below Broadway should be an industrial area, and they passed laws making it an industrial area. If you had a house, you could still live there, you could still repair it, but if it was ever destroyed, you couldn't rebuild.
After the tornado, all those houses were gone, and all those people had to move, you know, that someone probably never seen each other again, you know.
We lost, I'd say, probably about 70 to 80 homes and about 400 people.
In a small town where everyone knows each other, you'll pull together very often and help each other. But the sorry feature is that maybe, perhaps, you're all a victim or you're all affected by it.
But I think you always felt that these natural disasters always happen in somebody else's backyard, but they're never going to happen in yours. And then suddenly, without warning, without notice, bingo, you've got several blocks totally wiped out, several people that you know have lost their lives, a lot of jobs lost because of a couple of businesses that were destroyed as well. And that process of rebuilding, it's also kind of regaining confidence in your community, putting a lot of pieces back together that are both personal and family in nature, but also community in nature.
The unfairness, the bizarreness of a tornado affects all our feelings of being safe.
You kind of forget slowly, but it's always there. You know, it's been 15 years. And it'll come all right back to you.
I can close my eyes now and still see the images of the tornadoes and still see the people's faces and still see the houses just completely gone.
What you lost during a tornado, you lost in 15 minutes. However, if you lived in the town for 30 years, you lose a lot of those things. The houses get old, they get tore down, places that you enjoyed are gone, and nobody swims in a river anymore.
In the big scheme of things, a tornado dissipates rather quickly. But once it's gone, it takes a long time to pick up the pieces. And if you are the victim, it makes no difference whether an F1 tornado destroys your mobile home or an F5 destroys your neighborhood. It's all relative. For you, it is a significant tornado, and recovery is a hard, long road.
In the last hour, we told you some of the myths surrounding tornadoes, what a tornado is and how it forms, and some of the latest technology being used to detect these destructive phenomena. In the future, forecasters may be able to tell what storms will produce tornadoes and even predict how strong they might be. This will give you and your family more warning and more time to seek shelter. Thanks for joining us, and remember, what you saw here today could one day save your life.